Hotline Miami 2 is a game with some of the most fun but simple gameplay on the market. Despite this, it is extremely difficult with nearly everything in the game dying in one shot, including you. That means this game rivals fucking chess in terms of how important positioning is. This game has a Dark Souls effect of scaring off unexperienced players due to its immense difficulty. A lot of shooter games give you the tanky health bars and give you the wiggle room to literally run into an open area and still come out on top. But this game doesn't give you that kind of slack. If you try to fly into a room guns blazing, then you're gonna learn pretty fast that that's not how the game's played. But anyways, it has a lot of different characters. The first game only gave you 2 characters to work with, Jacket and Biker. On Jacket's side though, you have dozens of different masks which give you different perks to work with, and some masks being better or worse than others. Despite that, the first game had a very simple gameplay loop that the developers wanted to expand upon. So, in their sequel, they gave you several characters to play as throughout the story. Pardo, Beard, the Fans, Henchman, Martin Brown, the Sun, Jake, Evan, and Richter. If you include those playable in the level editor, then you get Jacket and Biker back. Unfortunately, a lot of the characters are just perkless Jacket reskins, with the differences being the enemies you fight and the weapons you may use. But some of them do have their own perks, including Beard, who has a fucking flamethrower, Jake, who can speedball an AK-47 into someone's skull, Evan, who is a complete pacifist and unloads people's guns instead of taking control of them and turning people's heads into drop lasagna, and finally, the Fans, who we'll be talking about today. I didn't forget about the Sun, he's literally the same as the Fans minus Alex and Ash's abilities. Before we get into the meat and potatoes of the video, I'm going to explain the combo system. You see this? This is our combo meter. You keep your combo up by killing enemies quickly, and if you wait too long before you kill another enemy, the combo will disappear. By getting higher combos, you will get more points, and these points will dictate your rank at the end of each level. The highest rank, of course, being S. Some levels are harder than others to do this on, and this is an already extremely difficult game to begin with. I've S-ranked every level in the game, and it cost me a good monitor to actually pull this off. No, I don't have anger issues, why do you ask? Anyways, back to what we were talking about. The Fans consist of 5 playable characters, all with the most unique gameplay perks in the game. Firstly, we have Corey. She wears a zebra mask, so it's anyone's guess what her ability is. Let's see, her ability is... wow. Okay, so her ability isn't completely useless. It actually sounds pretty good on paper. During the short time she rolls for, she is immune to all shots fired at her. However, melee damage from people, dogs, or EDP-445 can still kill her. The only issue is Hotline Miami 2 is a game which displays a lot of variety in its enemy placement. The game likes to mix and match gun and melee enemies in most areas, so you'll end up with a 9-iron in the face after your short-lived blaze of glory obtained by dodging a flurry of bullets. Not to mention, when the roll runs out, you're metaphorically caught with your dick in your hand and can get shot the second it does run out. There are some rare instances where this ability actually works and you're able to survive by the end of it. Overall, this ability is for the most part kinda shit, and when most people play Corey, they treat her as yet another perkless character. Our second fan is Tony. He takes the gimmick from the Tony mask in Hotline Miami 1 and makes it his whole shtick. He can only punch, and he can't pick up weapons, most importantly guns. However, he can one-shot any enemy in the game besides the fat dudes. In that case, he just knocks them down first and breaks their skull open. This is yet another character I'd opt out of playing if I had the choice, because when you're forced into a situation where there's a gun enemy too far away for you to just swing the corner and Mike Tyson him in the jaw, you'll end up dying. Of course, you can always play peekaboo with the guy and lure him out first, but that tends to kill combos because you're spending too much time waiting for him to waddle his goofy ass over to you than actually keeping your combo going. Tony is a cool as fuck character story-wise, but he is my least favorite character to play out of all the Fans. Our next characters are Alex and Ash. They are twins who you are able to play as simultaneously. One wields a goddamn chainsaw, and the other uses guns he finds around the level to deal with ranged enemies. They are pretty fun to play as, however, they are extremely buggy enough to get you killed. An example being Ash, the gun one, getting stuck behind a fucking wall so you end up shooting at nothing while Alex gets the John Marston treatment. Funnily enough, this glitch actually helped me once. Near the end of Death Wish, Ash bugged the fuck out and clipped through a wall and allowed me to kill the last enemy of the level without Alex even being there. I do like them, but their gameplay doesn't play out well too often, and Ash ends up being a liability more than a good tool to have on your side. Despite this, they are my second favorite fan to play as, but the first goes to Mark. Mark is my absolute favorite to play as, probably in the whole game. He wields 2 MP5s with more ammo than you can dream of. In total, they have 120 rounds that you can use against any enemy in the level. If you play your cards right and tap fire, by the end of the level you'll still have some ammo left over. His ability is also my favorite in the game because while it is very situational like Corey's, it looks sick as fuck and can be used more often than Corey's. When you press your space bar, Mark spreads his arms to his side and allows you to shoot a flurry of bullets to absolutely decimate any living being that is misfortunate enough to be standing parallel to you. He is extremely easy to S-rank with, leading me to believe that the times I'll play as him will be a refreshing experience from the mental turmoil I want to put myself through. Anyways, this is me trying to S-rank every fan level as every fan in Hotline Miami 2. I'll be doing this in the order of each fan in the selection screen unless one particular fan is pissing me off enough for me to shelve him or her for later. So firstly, we'll be doing Corey. Since this is the first fan level in the game, Corey is the first fan you unlock, and playing it as her is the way God intended. Naturally, this level is pretty easy. The only L I took here was getting a 17 times combo, there's 17 enemies in the level, and I traded with the last guy. But since this is nothing in comparison to what I'll experience later, I went on and completed the level. Our next fan is Tony. Even though I hate playing as him, this level is already pretty easy to begin with. Or at least I thought so. I'm kidding, I only died just about a dozen times, and while that does sound like a lot for the first level of the game, it's nothing in comparison to later. On this attempt, I try to snap the neck of a killed enemy because if you do, it gives you an extra number on your combo meter. It's completely random for this to happen, so I like to take advantage of it whenever it does happen. So when I tried, I sat there and lost my combo because the guy passed away before I could do so. Normally I just get myself killed so I could respawn and try the floor again to not fuck up my combo a second time, but I just decided to keep going. Thankfully I still kept the S rank either way when I beat the level. Now we move on to Alex and Ash. This is our first level with the Twin Swans, and it did come with a bit of the complications I mentioned earlier. One thing I forgot to bring up was how painfully long the execution animation is for Alex. It's killed more combos than I can remember, and it's painful each time. The only way to save it is if you had Ash shoot an enemy while you're LARPing as Leatherface, and a lot of the times, there isn't an enemy to shoot. I avoid door knockdowns like the plague because of this. Regardless, after a handful of failed attempts, I got the S rank. Our last fan for this level is Mark. I've done a lot of pecker sucking from Mark, and this is exactly why. He melted through this level like a hot knife through butter without any deaths. It does give me some reassurance that at the end of each level I'll have some revenge on said level by cutting through it as Mark. A way to vent my anger, if you will. So of course, it's an easy S rank under my belt. On to our next level. I hate this level. Despite being the second fan level you play in the game, it's one of the hardest. It's there to either be a sick joke or a lesson for what not to do when making a Hotline Miami level. The first floor of this level misleads you into thinking that it's easy, as it's just 3 enemies, 2 of which are practically beating each other off and not paying attention. Then you get to the second floor, which is the biggest jumbled mess I've ever seen in a Hotline level. So many rooms and so hard to see the enemies inside them, it's damn near impossible to keep up a combo and memorize the layout of it. And goddamn, the third floor is also awful. Full of long-ass corridors that are tighter than a duck's asshole. You can't even see down them all the way. At least with Corey, Mark, Alex, and Ash, you can just spray down the first hallway and normally kill every enemy in there, but playing Tony here is going to put me in therapy. Anyways, Corey was bad, but not the worst. It took me so many tries and so much experimenting until I found the optimal path for each room. After some CBT action, we got the S rank. Now on to Tony. I'm not sure how this level stayed in the game, but not only is it bullshit in every regard, it's next to pointless for the story as well. I feel like it's just a level that's there to unlock Tony, but that doesn't make much sense either considering how much this level relies on ranged combat and using gunshot sounds to lure enemies out of difficult spots. It'll leave a bad taste in players' mouths and lead them to think, damn, this character is dog shit. One thing that kept throwing me off before this was how Hotline's enemy movement works. Enemies will move randomly at times, and this can either kill you or ruin your combo. Once you've gotten used to an enemy placement and are starting to get the flow of things, guess what? You decided to walk across the level and now your combo's gone. Bye bye S rank. I knew this level with Tony would have been bad, but after watching a video of someone else doing it, I managed to get the hang of where to go, and with a stroke of luck, I finally did it. At this point, I'm convinced this is the hardest S rank of the challenge, but I might get surprised later on. Up next on our shit list are the Twin Swans. If it isn't obvious enough already, this is going to be the second easiest fan to S rank this level with, just behind Mark. Alright, so that means it's going to be a breeze. Oh, I'm just joking, it was actually easy as shit. After our previous CBT session, I learned from my previous strategy and just ended up playing Alex and Ash like a better Tony, since I can now use Ash to lure enemies out as well as shoot them if they're too far to kill with my chainsaw. Literally the only upside Tony has to Alex and Ash is that he executes enemies faster, not really being a problem since he didn't really have a problem with doors here. After ripping and tearing, I got an easy S rank. Up next is Smokey the Bear, and I'll just let the clip speak for itself. S rank, next level. Execution. This is my second favorite fan level because of the impact on the story it has. The fans mercilessly killing the defenseless henchmen sets the tone for the rest of the story and atmosphere. Also, that soundtrack. It's also a pretty easy level as well. It's straightforward and simple, but the level itself is pretty and fits the tone of the games. Even Dennis Wedding, I don't know. One of the two Hotline Miami developers said that it was his favorite level in the whole series. Corey can make her way through this level pretty well, and the only issues I ran into here was the spacing between enemies on the second floor, but no issue. You just start on the left and make your way to the right. There's our S rank. On to Tony. I don't really have too much to say here about Tony in this level, besides that he was a little more difficult than the others, but still an easy S rank overall. One story element I like to bring up about this mission is how Tony doesn't take part in killing henchmen when the rest of the fans do. If you play as any other character, Tony is missing. But if you play as Tony, he just stands there watching as the henchman gets killed. It might have been that the developers just didn't have space for Tony to fit next to the henchman, but I like to think of it in a way which portrays Tony as not wanting to kill a man drugged out and begging for his life, showing his motives as being a little different than the rest of the fans. Just a little thing I thought was cool. Anyways, let's move on to Alex and Ash. Again, not much to say here besides showing off how Ash bugged the fuck out on a failed attempt. Speaking of failed attempts, the amount of times I confidently completed a level and got my confidence crushed by a fat A+ instead of an S has taken a toll on my mental health. Not just in this challenge, but during my previous horrible idea of S ranking every level that unfortunately came to fruition. Anyway, one strategy that Alex and Ash's whole gameplay loop revolves around is throwing Ash in the line of sight of enemies, because while he can shoot them, he also can't be killed. The only way you die is if Alex, the one with the chainsaw, gets killed. This allows you to shoot enemies through a doorway with little to no danger actually being posed to you. But yeah, S rank, yada yada yada, onto Mark. One thing I want to mention, which could be seen as a con with Mark, is that when you use your first 60 bullets, Mark has to reload his MP5s. If you're not careful, you can be caught with your dick in your hand whilst reloading and will die. My way of countering this is shooting the last few rounds of my mag into a wall before I go into the next floor, so Mark reloads before he goes back into combat. Can you tell I'm running out of things to talk about? Anyways, after watching Henchy get his shit pushed in for the 4th time, we've attained yet another S rank and now may go on to the next level. This level is very forgettable. Could it be the boring yet easy gameplay, or the maze-like level design that causes you to lose combos left and right? Despite that, the level is kinda unique with the fake out near the beginning where you kill 6 enemies and it tells you that you completed the level, but some dialogue plays out and leads you to the second part of the level in the sewer system. The atmosphere is pretty disturbing with the bodies being melted and acid by the mafia. Hashtag Jacket did nothing wrong. The creepy slow music doesn't help either, especially when put in contrast to the adrenaline pumping soundtrack present in the rest of the game. Anyways, through my yapping, this level is pretty easy. S rank for Corey. One Punch Cat is up next. Okay, it becomes glaringly obvious really quick that this level is not designed with Tony in mind. I did S rank it, thankfully, because the S rank score is very lenient on this level. I can see why, since for Tony it's a pain in the ass to play because it throws a combination of dogs, fat dudes, and gun enemies at you. What really fucked me here was the execution animation for the dogs. Instead of punching the dogs once and turning them into paste, Tony picks up the dog and RKOs it into the fucking earth. Ordinarily, it's a cool as fuck animation, but when you're left vulnerable during it, it becomes a pain in the ass real quick, especially since the level combines the dogs with other enemies in the same room. Thankfully, I discovered a way to get around this animation. Since the game doesn't care where you melee and the hitbox is in a 360-degree circle around your character, you may punch wherever you like and still get the kill. So what I did was turn my back to the dogs whenever they bum rush me and hit them that way, and the game ignores the animation and just punches them like a regular enemy, allowing me to deal with multiple at once. By doing this, I secured the S rank. Easy clap. Now on to Alex and Ash. Pretty simple of a character to speed through the level with in comparison to Tony. Taking into consideration Alex doesn't spend 80 fucking years killing dogs. After Ash bugs through the wall a couple more times, I S-rank the level. Finally, Mark, the character this level is meant for. This is the level you normally unlock him in, and the level cover has a bear swimming through sewage for fuck's sake. Funnily enough, playing Mark for the first time on this level makes him seem overpowered as fuck, in contrast of Tony being unlocked and moving up, making you think he's the worst fucking character in the game. It might look like I don't like Tony very much, but that couldn't be farther from the truth. He's my favorite fan story-wise. I just think playing as him is comparable to sticking your nutsack in a garbage disposal. Anyways, I forgot to record the first time I S-ranked it just a little bit ago, but the level was easy to do over again, so thank God. After wiping out the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles for the 4th time, we've got Mark's S-rank. Now onto the final, but also my favorite chapter, not just for the fans, but the whole damn game. This level is unique in that it doesn't give you a choice of which fan you want to play as. Instead, it gives you 4 different floors, each one designed for each fan and their unique abilities. This is the final level for the fans, and it's because, well, they die. If you came here, then I'm assuming you didn't give a shit about being spoiled. After Tony fat shames him, the first floor goes to Mark. It's very fun in that it allows you to use that neat ability I mentioned earlier. This is very fun, but unfortunately you have this little pecker up here with a melee weapon who likes to spoil the fun, so you gotta deal with him first. After that, the floor should be pretty easy as you just quick peek the whole time until everyone's dead. Now you have Corey. Remember that ability I said was mostly useless earlier and only has limited uses? This is one of those uses. But after that, it's hard to keep up a combo. I had to keep dying on purpose to restart until I had a combo that I was happy with. After that, you just watch out for the windows and just pop the rest of the guys one by one. You could go the pussy route and not do the roll, but style means everything, of course. After that is Tony's stage. It begins in a big room with a bunch of melee enemies. You basically just hold left click and remove all of them. Near the end is this stupid as fuck window area, which ordinarily I would have died at a million times over and probably broke my trusty Goodwill keyboard over my head, but God decided to show me mercy and allow me to clear this part first try. Last but certainly the fuck not least is Alex and Ash's floor. I did die a million times in the first part because I tried to essentially play COD zombies with the enemies, but eventually it worked and I moved my way down towards the last part. In every other floor I had combos I was happy with, but the layout of this floor kind of kicked me in the nuts and I finished it with a shitty combo. Here's hoping I get the S rank and this challenge will be finally complete. Oh no.
Yeah, baby, S rank. Let's fucking go.